It's Tammy with Art by Tammy Lassiter. I hope this day finds you doing very well. Today we're going to be making a very special tray that I created out of a few different molds. This particular one is the Wings coaster molds that I purchased from Dryer Days Art Studio. Right now I am painting the edges of the mold with the Viva Maya Gold paint. It's a lovely metallic paint that goes on very well. Thank you, Laura, for sending this to me to try. I really do appreciate it. And so I'm just moving through the process, taking my time, making sure to get into all of the little details of this mold because there are lots of details on these. They're just beautiful. And there's so much that you can do with them. And I'm hoping that today in my project will inspire you to think of new ways to incorporate different types of molds into your creations. And so once I'm all the way around the mold, I'm just going to take basically the side edge of my brush and what paint I have left. I'm not getting any more paint. I'm doing kind of a bride brush technique and just kind of lightly brushing over a portion of the etching on the mold that shows the details. And as you can see, I have done the one over to the left prior to this video. This is the gold that I was using. It's just beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and pour my pigments into the mold, and I'm using Resin Angel White. I'm using the Iridron Pale Gold pigment. I got that from Laura's Art Studio, both of those actually. And I'm also using Palace, which is a very sparkly, almost diamond-like glitter that I got from Dryer Days Art Studio. This is the first time I'm using that particular glitter, but it is just stunning. I decided to add just a little bit of Pinata to my Supreme White mixture, just because I want to keep my colors loose. I want them to be flowy in this particular piece that I'm working on. And I'm just laying in pigment. I'm just doing this randomly as I go along. Right now, I'm just kind of trying to, keep the shape of the wing going and making sure I have those highlights later on when I unmold. Here, I'm also using the Antique Lace pigment, powder pigment from Dryer Days Art Studio. It's got to be my favorite of hers so far, and that's saying a lot because all of her pigments and glitters are just outstanding. And she has a new line of her own pigments now called Color Joy. And the ones that I have used have just been absolutely wonderful. So now I'm just kind of trying to help the pigment move and get it ready for this gold. The Iridron Pale Gold. And again, I'm trying to keep in line with how I think the wings are going to, or the wings are designed. And just using my heat gun to move that pigment, soften it up. And you can see the effects of what that does. It's gorgeous. Okay, I forgot to push the play button on my recorder, but about 4 hours into the curing process, when my wings were still bendable but cured enough that they wouldn't move, the pigment wouldn't move, I went ahead and laid them into these bowls to try to create and let them cure the rest of the way in a more of a dimensional manner. And so once they cure it all of the way, this is the effect. And the studio lights really tend to wash out a lot of the effects that we get, but it's really hard to emphasize that from studio lights. But they're just beautiful, and you can see how that glitter just shines and that gold just floats on the top, and it's just beautiful. I'm very excited and pleased how these turned out. And as you can see, the gold on the edges came out just fine. There's no gold left on my molds. All right, so here now I am taking the oval dish mold from Dryer Days Art Studio, and I laid a little bit of the clear resin down, and then I placed a crystal insert over top of the clear resin that I laid down. All right, and now I'm taking some of my Palace glitter, and I just went around the entire edge perimeter of that mold and around that crystal insert. And then again with my white, and this is the Angel White again with the drop of the white alcohol ink, Blanca Blanca from Pinata. I'm just using the very same pigments. I want everything to connect and correspond. And so you're going to see me doing several layers of these same colors here. And here I am with the antique lace. And y'all have seen me turn out a dish with this particular mold. It was probably a couple of weeks ago. It was a blue mold. I'm sorry, a blue dish. And you know, at first you're very careful with your molds, but this is all of these molds are very, very tough. They're strong. You still need to take care of them, but I'm just very pleased with how they hold up. And so what you're seeing now is the bottom of what the oval dish will look like. The side walls are, the resin is pouring down into the side walls. And I'm just cleaning up that exterior side of the insert. And now I'm just taking my heat gun, popping any bubbles, moving the pigment, seeing what else I need. And so you can tell that I'm just pretty random. I'm sticking with the same few colors. That gold just does beautiful work. Again, I wish that it showed better. Taking a little bit more of that Palace glitter. It is just stunning. It's like, it really is like diamonds. And I've set my wings aside and let them continue to fully cure. And this will, I will also set this aside after I believe I'm going to blow the bubbles one more time here in just a second. And then I'm just going to let that dry completely. There we go. And I'll give this 24 hours and here we are unmolding. I'm taking that crystal insert out of the tray, going ahead and unmolding my dish from the mold. Very easily, it really easily comes out. I love the effect of that crystal insert. It's just beautiful. And that just pops right back in to position. Now I am going ahead and I'm taking my wings and I'm placing them on the end of my dish. And I'll give you a better look at that here in just a second. Again, I don't know what's going on, but my phone didn't record the initial part of it. And I'm just propping it up now with something on my table and putting some UV resin there to help support that wing until I can get regular resin, epoxy resin, back into my tray to permanently secure that. So I'm just using some UV resin there to help me support those wings in place. And they'll continue to cure until I'm ready to finish up. And this little UV lamp is just a very inexpensive, cheap one that I got off of Amazon. I think it was a Black Friday sale for like 12 bucks. But it's really come in handy. Make sure that you're not shining that in your eyes and that you're protecting your hands. Here I notice I don't even have my gloves on, but you'll see me put my gloves on at some point during this. All right, so I'm a little bit off screen here, but all I'm doing is adding some of the crushed crystal vase filler, or crushed glass vase filler. I believe this is the champagne color. It's hard to find this stuff now, it really is, and I think I've used the last bit of this color that I had, which makes me sad, but I use this a lot. But it really does add even more sparkle. So I'm just adding that along that end of the dish where I have my wings. And then around the that crystal inlay, that circle, I'm taking that same crushed glass, and I'm trying to move it better so that you can see it, and going around that circle just to bring in more light to the area. And I'll shift it here again for you in just a minute. And so I'm really just going with an idea that I had, and I'm using the things that I have available here in my studio and designing this as I go, essentially. So don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to use your molds in ways that may not have been originally intended. You can use these things to create lots of different artsy items. So here I'm calling this my turkey. That's what it looks like to me right now. I've gone ahead and mixed up some resin. I've got my glass around the perimeter of my crystal inlay and around the wings, and I'm just going to lay down a flood coat of resin on the inside of this tray or dish and on the glass so that it permanently stays, and this will help the wings to adhere permanently as well. I'm also going to use the Iridron Pale Gold pigment, just a little bit of that, to make sure that the gold kind of stays and floats on top of the dish. It kind of gave a lacy appearance on top of the clear. So I'm just mixed up a very little bit. It's probably less than an ounce. And I'm going to take my clear resin and I'm going to drizzle this over the glass first. And what this does is it really just kind of helps to seat that glass in place so that it doesn't start floating when I do my flood coat. And it also helps me be a little bit methodical and making sure that I get all the glass covered. I still want to keep the texture of the glass, and I don't want to completely cover it up and lose that texture and shine. So this really helps. You just really need to have a little bit of resin touch that glass to the next surface, and it'll be there forever. So this kind of helps you control that aspect of it. And at some point during this particular stage, I must have had some resin under my dish here, because I noticed at the end that there's a clear spot on my resin inlay. You can't see it right here, but you will in the future shots. If you get clear resin on your piece under an inlay like that, then it's just going to look like a solid clear area. But it's still quite pretty. It's just, you just have to go with it. Things happen. This is homemade, right? We are making it by hand. Now I'm just making sure that all of the resins is up against the walls so I don't have any sudden drop-offs or edges inside of my mold, or I keep saying mold, but it's a tray. Now it's a tray. And then I'm just going to go on ahead and take some of that that gold. Initially, I'm just taking the pigment powder. But in just a minute, you're going to see me add some of the gold alcohol ink, and that's what helped this give that lacing effect, which is difficult to see in the video. And I tried laying my wings down in several directions, but I kind of had to go with the way I designed the wings to, I molded the wings so that I wouldn't lose the space in the dish so much. Just adding a little bit more glass into the resin, making sure that I'm keeping that sparkle and shine, because I've covered up some of the glass, and it just kind of gets lost, and so I want to put that back in there. At this point, I'm just really kind of deciding where I want to go. And it is a process. Sometimes you sit at your table and you may have an idea and you realize that it's just needs something more. You're not really sure if you're liking it. You're kind of between tossing it up and going for it. So at this point, I decided that I had put a lot of time into this and that I was just going to go for it. And so I've gone in search of a few things to add to it. There's my Pinata Gold that I'm going to add into my gold pigment there. Right now I'm just adding a few pearl beads. Here and there. And they really did help to elevate the look of this. And so sometimes you're not that far away from achieving what you want to achieve. You can see that crystal insert now. You can see that round area and my mat underneath of it turning clear. It's a little off center. That must have been where I had resin sitting. Oh, I decided to go into the glass and add a little bit of the Palace glitter to continue adding more and more sparkle to the area. This is somewhat of a translucent glitter with a very pretty holographic nature to it. Very, very sparkly and shiny. Again, like diamonds or crystals. I'm just making sure that any of the glass that I put in isn't floating in towards the center. And you can just see when I lay this down now, it just automatically begins to spread. All right, here we are the next day, and I decide that between the wings, I want to lay in some crystal points. I believe I got these particular ones from Micheals. And again, using my UV resin and my light to secure those. And I really love the use of the UV resin to do this type of thing. I can get it, I can secure it pretty quickly and then go in with my epoxy resin if I want to, and secure it later, which really isn't necessary with this particular piece. It's pretty much in there. I made sure that these were set. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I hope that this will inspire you to look and see what you have and use them in different ways. Find a different way to create something new, and tag me in it at Art by Tammy Lassiter. I'd love to see it. Please, if you would mind, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up on this video, and even more, I'd love for you to subscribe and hit those bells and whistles so that you'll receive notifications and be notified of the next time I load a video. Thank you so much for being here. You guys mean the world to me. I really do greatly appreciate you so much. And so here we are. We've added those crystal points, and those really do look nice there. And so I have this, sorry, I didn't give you a very good shot of it there. I have this beautiful votive candle holder, a little bit larger than a votive, and a battery-operated flicker candle that I'm going to sit right down inside of that area, and there you have it. In the end, I think this turned out really, really cool. And I'll give you a couple of really good pictures of it here in just a minute, so stay tuned. Again, thank you so, so much for being here. I appreciate you and love you all. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave me a comment and tell me what you think of this video and what you might want to see in the future videos. Have a great day, everybody.